I guess I don't need to see myself. I know I'm beautiful. All right. I've just completed my first week of work since February of 2024. And it was a mixed bag. Overall good, but I was doing some strenuous work in the hot sun. Thankfully not breaking rocks. But cutting grass, moving some paving stones. I am the yard support services for HP Communications, which is located in Corona, California. They're in many states, not all of them. And they just opened a yard 4 miles from me here in Arcadia, Florida, to do installing fiber optic cable throughout the area. And I unload the trucks and inventory the stuff that comes in. And it's a good gig. Doesn't pay much, but I'm hoping the bigger picture will pay off here. But that being said, today was the 5th day. And already, let's see, I'm flying to Tennessee on Monday to go pick up a truck in a tractor with a trailer, but a nice Ford 450 or something, and drive it back. And then we have the company Christmas party is in California, in San Diego. And I already have my flight booked for that. They booked me the flight for that. And we fly in on, I think, Thursday, and we're going to the company rented out San Diego Zoo on Friday, Christmas party on Saturday, and then we're all going to SeaWorld on Sunday. Might not just be our company, I don't know. Apparently they did Disneyland a year or two ago. I would have liked that because I've not yet been there. And in that case, they did actually, I guess, rent out Disneyland or something. I don't know. Is that possible? They actually closed Disneyland for a day for people. But anyway, either way. But San Diego, never been there. Looking forward to that. San Diego Zoo. I love my zoos. The zoo in Omaha, Nebraska, I'd recommend if you have the opportunity to go there. Remember Marlon Perkins, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Safari or something like that? It used to be a huge Saturday night show in my family in the 70s. So there you go. And then I had to do some stuff. Like, you went to the store, went to Home Depot and spent $2,000, company credit card, buying just shit. That was enjoyable. That was much funner than cutting the grass. But being the yard, this is the real work's not starting until next week. So there was a few shipments I had to stay late tonight to unload a shipment of some sort of those plastic things you see along the road, the little, they call them like dog houses and stuff like that. But so we have, it's like a fenced in lot owned by somebody that they're renting out. We got, a trailer on there with AC. And it's where all the stuff is. So it's kind of overgrown and shit. And there's like some collapsed pallets of paving stones and stuff. So we're kind of cleaning that up and cutting the grass and stuff. So let me tell you, when the sun's out in Florida, it's hot. I got to wear a hard hat, and the sweat just pours. Like, for me, it's like a nonstop. It's like a faucet, not a drip. It is a drip, but it's nonstop. But I guess in order for a drip to form, there must be some sort of break. But it's more or less it's not, it's more zoom, zoom. So that part sucks. And I did dig a hole. I put the mailbox post in. First time I've ever done that. But there I am, 56 years old, digging a fucking hole, and it was hot. It wasn't horrible, and I did a great job. If you drive by that mailbox, you can tell somebody Somebody cared about putting that one in the ground. That was me. So that's that. Making money again. And I guess I might as well reveal the true situation. And I got to be honest with you, I haven't worked in a year and a half. I've only, and the other thing is there are a lot of fire ants. I picked up there's a lot of pieces of pallet, like just like a piece of wood broken off a pallet. A lot of fire ants. I picked one up today and I'm walking over to the dumpster. Next thing you know, there's like 25 fire ants on my hand and I get bit like 20 times. There are all these little bumps on me. See that right there? It's a fire ant. They leave a little blister, and I can't help but pop them. Get them all over your hand, on your fingers. You got to be they're quick. And you just forget, despite the fact that they're always there, you just, you pick up a piece of wood, you got to take a few steps to try and throw it in there. So next thing you know, ow! But all in all, good, and it's a perfect job for me. I unfortunately had a sidekick this week. He got hired the same time as me. He's going to be out in the field on the underground crew, but I more or less had to babysit him all week. Good guy, Cuban guy. Can't speak speaks a little bit of English, but the whole week was him. How you say? And he'd show me, and I'd be like, oh, stomach ache or belly ache. And he asked me what a gas can was. We had to put gas in the. We're still bringing the power in from the street, which they put the underground pipe in today. So we're using a generator. And he's like, what you call, the gas? I couldn't think of gas can. I'm like, gas container. I'm like, I know that's not it. I did get gas can within the conversation, but it took me a minute or two. I'm like, what the hell do we call that? Oh, yeah, it's just a gas can, right? But there's a lot of that. And he's pretty funny. Not intentionally. I mean, he's good-natured, but it's nonstop. It's funny, because I'm with him all week, and I'm just, and I'm like speaking with a Spanish accent now. It's kind of gone, but but our boss took us to Taco Bell one day for lunch, and he got in the truck, my boss's truck, and I sat in the back, and I was like so happy because it was funny just watching. My boss was with him. It's like a 2-mile drive to Taco Bell, and nonstop on my boss, and I could tell my boss was kind of freaking out, a little uncomfortable. He didn't know what to do. And I'm just like, dude, I'm dealing with that 10 hours a day. And he got a kick. I'm like, because the nice thing here on 70 in Arcadia, this is the east side of town. And it's all brand new. New Publix, Culver's, KFC, Taco Bell. There's a Holiday Inn Express. And I'm just telling him, I'm like, you got Culver's, then, KFC, Wendy's, McDonald's down the bottom. He got a kick out of that one. I think that was pretty good ranking. But I'm more apt to eat at McDonald's than Wendy's. I've eaten at Wendy's. I bet in my life I'm still under 10 times on Wendy's. Possibly more, around 5. Wherever there's a Wendy's, there's going to be a Taco Bell or even a McDonald's, which I'm not huge on. I'll eat McDonald's 3-4 times a year. Oftentimes when you're driving or something. But, yeah, so Wendy's just doesn't come up much. I might even be under. It's probably like 3, 4, or 5 times in my life I've eaten at Wendy's. Not been overly impressed. But Culver's, I've been going to the Culver's. I went to Culver's today and it was good. But my car died at Culver's. 402,000 miles. I'm going to see if I can fix it because I owe nothing and it still runs great. Starts right up until it died. But it's not the starter. It's probably the timing belt or possibly the fuel pump or both. Because basically I'm driving and it just died. And I actually had to coast. I was able to coast into a perfect parking spot at Culver's. So I just parked it and got out. Because this has happened a couple times in the last month, and this is the first time my car's ever really given me trouble. 402,000 miles, so it owes me nothing. So I get up and I eat my deluxe double cheeseburger, and they got their own brand of root beer at Culver's. Pretty good. Not as good as the Moab Brewery. They have at the Moab Brewery in Moab, Utah. They used to, it's been a while now since I've been there, but they used to make their own root beer, and it was like ice fucking cold. It was good. It was worth whatever they charged for a pitcher, which was a little more than I thought was appropriate. But at the same time, they're making their own fucking root beer. Highly recommend. Well, like I said, it's probably been 10 years since I've been there now. But I really liked it. I ate there. When I was there working, I went to Moab quite a bit, and I'd always have at least one meal at the Moab Brewery and get the root beer. I don't think I even ever tried a beer there. Other than the root beer. I like an alcoholic beer. Not big on those fucking weird, the microbreweries and shit. I can do it. And occasionally there's one I like, but I don't find it's worth the price or just finding one you like, because it's just, I'm fine with Budweiser or Heineken, Stella occasionally. I don't drink a ton of beer, But, so then I come out and my car starts right up and it died right away. And I was able to coast. There was like the Culver's and Taco Bell and KFC are along the road. And then there's like a road in the back behind them. And then there's a Publix back there with the Pizza Hut and a Northern Freight Tool or whatever it is. But anyway, I was able to coast across into the Publix parking lot, which is, if you're going to have your car break down somewhere, is probably the best place is a Publix parking lot. And then this kid came over. He noticed me sitting there. He saw what happened. Young kid. And Chase. Which was kind of weird because during lunch, I got a call from somebody who could barely speak English saying they were from Chase and that somebody tried to open a business account in my name, which kind of disrupted my lunch a bit. And then I meet a kid named Chase. And then I had to call Chase Bank, actually, after that to see if any of that was true, and it wasn't. But I also got a text right after that when I came out saying somebody tried to access my Coinbase account, which I have like $1,000 in Bitcoin or something. And that was also apparently fictitious. I kind of suspected that. I didn't panic too much about that one. I'm like, I think I had one of those before. So he came over and was like, offering some advice and some help. Do you need a jump? I'm like, I don't think it's the battery. It's, and we still tried to jump it. And it kind of almost turned over. It was turning. But anyway, after just sitting there for about 20 minutes of talking to him, it did start up. And he recommended Mike Miller's Automotive, which was like a half mile from there. And I was able to drive there and leave my car there. So that's where my Xterra is right now. Oh, yeah. And the whole point of that, and hopefully if it's under $1,000, I'll probably fix it because I don't need to drive far now. I mean, occasionally, I'll do a Disney trip, but my annual pass at Disney is the Pixie Dust one, which is like $450 a year. But I can't only go during the weekdays. And now that I'm working, I'd actually have to take a day off, which I may. I know my next reservation, the Beach Boys are playing at the Epcot International, the last group on the last day. And it's ridiculous, but Bruce Johnston and Mike Love are still in the group. They probably don't even sing, like nobody really sings. But anyway, and their band leader of the Mike Love Beach Boys lives in Lakeland. But they're playing November 17th. It's a Monday. So I may take a sick day for that. And that would be the first one. But my boss came and picked me up. The Wawa was directly across the street. And then he dropped me off at my RV and I took my e-bike back to 4 miles back to the yard. So I'll be riding my e-bike every morning, which is fine. I need the exercise, no problem. An easy ride. So I really don't have any problem. But I'm one of those guys, you see the guys with the hard hat. I'll have my backpack and my hard hat hanging off it or whatever. Or I'll probably leave it there. But you're like, oh, DWI guy. No, just dead car. I'm not too proud. And I have no choice. So there's that. But anyway, before this job, I hadn't worked since February. And I think I filled out one application for... I don't even know. Northern Freight. I think they had a help wanted. I went online. I think that's the only application I filled out because I'm just sick of it all. HR departments, working with people who smoke and who don't want to work. And I'm just the type I'd rather work. Like I was in the yard today. My boss gave me a little time when my car broke down. He's like, but the shipment was coming in after our normal work hours. So he's like, yeah, just come back, take a little time and come back. I'm like, I don't have any problem staying late. And I didn't. But I'm there by myself, and I was literally had my hand clippers out, cutting. We had some thicker grass and stuff, and picking up like sticks and shit around in the grass we cut around the office, the mobile office. And I didn't really have to. A lot of people wouldn't have. And I know that for a fact because my cohort, when I came back with my e-bike at 3 o'clock, he was just sitting in his car, and all this needed doing. Just saying, he's a good guy. I don't care. I'm not going to make any stink about it, but I can't help but notice and comment about it. And in fact, we bought a lawnmower today to cut the grass, and apparently he's from Cuba, and he's like 40 or so. This was the first time he'd ever used a lawnmower. And he's like, can I go backwards with it? And it's just a push one. It's like, can I go backwards? And I'm like, yes, you can. But he basically stopped mowing while I was unloading a truck that took over an hour and didn't even come over and ask me that. Just went and sat down and started looking at his phone. I'm just saying, I love you, Alejandro. You ever see this video, you're all right, but you're too old to be doing things like that. But anyway, I digress. But what I was saying is, before I got this job, and I don't really know what I was up to, I've been trying to play music, and I've been playing music out, but I haven't really made any money. I do have a gig on October 17th for $250 at the Moose Lodge in Arcadia, Florida, if anybody wants to come. But you need a membership, or maybe a guest. And I carry, so if I've angered you in any way, I will be prepared to defend myself. Just letting you know, because that's the way it's going to be from here on out in life. If you don't understand that, or rolling your eyes, or like, oh my, you're probably a big part of the problem and why I'm doing that. But I was literally down. Other than, I got some money, like $1,000 on Coinbase. I got a couple grand in stocks. But I was under $500 in my bank account. And I don't have any 401. I don't have nothing. That was it. And I wasn't even panicking. And I pulled it out. The guys behind me, if you go back a couple videos, I speak about the eviction of Tish, who originally lived behind me. But the guys who came in to move behind me, Danny and his son Jacob, a couple Kentuckians, took me a while. Like a lot of times, we'd be talking from RV to RV, and I have no fucking idea. They're a bit low talkers, and they're from Kentucky. So I'd be like, what? 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 But they're good guys, and they told me that these people were looking for a yard guy, and apparently they put in a good word for me too. And I just went up there, and I literally went up there. I went up there, walked into the office, asked for the application. Kyle, my boss, gave it to me. I filled that out, and then I went back up there like 2 Mondays ago. And the bigger boss, Robbie, was there, and another guy who didn't even introduce himself, and Kyle. And I just more or less went in there, gave him my application, and laid it out. These are guys like me, but with real jobs and experience, and so I didn't. But I was like, look, man, You'll see I haven't worked in a year and a half, and right on like some of the job, like the pest control, did not like job. Reason for leaving, did not enjoy job on any level. And I'm like, you can see I'm a pretty blunt guy, and my boss, the big boss Robbie, looked at that and just laughed, and I'm like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I'm not a guy who needs to be babysat. I'm gonna be here every day, and I come expecting to work and ready to work, and I kind of gave kind of a soliloquy. And because that's where I'm at. You don't want to accept me as I am, and I'll be the best worker you have. I'm not interested, and I will. I'll fucking eat fucking acorns or whatever at this point. I'm not going to fucking play the game. And that's what my brother, I remember when I moved out of my house, you got to play the game. No, I don't, you asshole. You do, and look what you are. You're nothing. You're broken. No offense. I love you. But you're a broken man. You're an unpleasant person to be around. And it breaks my heart that it's come to that. But you are broken. You're like this sad, woke person. And it's just horrible. But anyway, so there I am. So now I got a job. And everything's going to be hopefully all right. I've said too much. Like, I got to be careful with the politics. Like I'm saying to my boss, I'm like, the day Kimmel was coming back, I'm like, they're bringing Jimmy Kimmel back tonight. He's like, I don't know anything about that. So I'm like, so I got to be careful there. I get it. But sometimes, even though you're aware of that, just the conversation, like, that's just part of everything, man. Like, we were sitting, the one day we went with the boss to the Taco Bell, and there was just some things that were just no way of not saying some things. Like, yeah, I was eating the Mexican pizza. My boss is like, and I'm like, yeah, they got rid of that for a couple years. And I'm like, you know who did that? You know who that was? I'm like, the CEO of Cracker Barrel that just ruined their brand was the CEO of Taco Bell when they got rid of the Mexican pizza because she considered it offensive. And that's a true story. So take that. And how can you not bring that up? Why is it, I can't talk about that, or I don't know. To tiptoe around that is just sad and pathetic, man. That's part of the fucking what's going on and affecting your life. To be like that, but then to know like the 40 speed of a fucking 18-year-old getting drafted is just pathetic. Fucking, you watch professional sports nowadays, you're a fucking loser, man. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, write whatever nasty comments you're in there. And know this, I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck what you think of me, what I say, what my opinions are, anything. Nobody. I don't give a fuck what anybody in the world thinks. And personally, I would think that would be refreshing for a lot of people. So... And it's just I speak my mind. I'm not fucking out there. I'm a realist, man, And tiptoeing around that to worry about getting along with or being around people that you don't even really want to be around is just not a bargain I'm willing to make. So, and then last week I played at the Legion. I played at the American Legion here. Played music at the American Legion in Arcadia. On Friday I played inside. And I got a lot of claps out of a lot of the songs. But then they have this DJ guy, Kenny. It's always a Kenny, isn't it? He's probably 40, but, rednecky dude, ring in the nose. And he's the DJ. So Saturday, they're opening up their tiki bar outside. Nice little setup for an American Legion. So they're like, yeah, you can come and play. So I'm playing, and I got my little set thinking, and then just like 5 songs into it, he comes over, he's wearing the microphone, and he's got his DJ, he's got all this big soundboard. Usually I just have my amp, and he's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to play some songs now, I don't know, and I watched that set back, and I thought it was fine, so. So he does that, and he plays then I played some more on the ukulele. I played a set, and I got to do like 8 songs or something, and then I did a final set with my Acoustasonic. And in between, he was doing, and look, man, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not interested. and I will play for nobody before I will concern myself with what anybody wants to hear. Because that's not what any musician. Like, there's tapes of the Dead and whatever. That's my reference point. But like Phil getting up there, it's like, hey man, we hear you clapping. We got our own program, you know? And of course, you need to get to a level where people will just take whatever you shovel them, but you also get there by giving them what you want to shovel them. That's the way I'm going to play. And these people want to hear Alan Jackson or like some song like these two fucking fat girls got up and they played some song, some newer country song, and they got up there and did like some, not together, but like there was like three of them, and they were kind of, the line, they were like two of them here, one there, and they did all these dance moves that were just pathetic. Like you had to learn these dance moves. It wasn't just free dancing. But to me, that's really sad and pathetic that you. And then that song was over, and they literally ran out and got in their car and left. And these were like women in their 40s. And one of the women, I played two songs. And then Kenny he was adjusting something, and she goes, play some music. And I didn't say nothing, but I had just played two songs, and Kenny actually said something like but it was just like, there wasn't a ton of people there. So I was more like, you didn't see me just play two songs or hear me, even if you didn't like it, you didn't hear that. So there's that. And then on Sunday, I got myself up and went up to the Charlotte's Web pub. Oh, and I put that up online already, the Charlie Kirk Memorial. And the butchering, throwing stones, I've been playing a long time. And I still need to work on it, but that was the worst version of throwing stones I ever played. But I put that in the description. I mentioned that. And I opened up with my original song, Left Behind, in the first set. So that was good. That was like 7 sets of music, but the Saturday it was like 20 and 30 minute sets, the three of them. But then this week, the week before leading up to those American Legions, I had gotten a call from the bartender, Susan, but this week I didn't get a call. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm all right with that. They'd probably, if I went up there, let me play, maybe not, but I'm pretty much, if they call me, I'll go. But I'm also all right with if they don't. We're not on the same page. There is an audience thing. And for that Moose Lodge, I probably am going to try and, I'll just make sure I play Races On by George Jones and Big River. And don't get me wrong, I'm probably going to open up with Playing in the Band or something, but I'll play plenty of those tunes, but I'll probably play like Coming In from Los Angeles, carrying songs like, I'll try and get songs that are, just not deep dead cuts, I guess. I'm still going to do a couple. I might do a Sugar Ray and Playing in the Band, but Mr. Spaceman. I played Mr. Spaceman for the first time at the Legion on Friday, the Birds. Hey, Miss. I'm always, those things you just don't think of. But like, I was born in February 10th, 1969, which was before we went to the moon, which was in August, I believe. Just kind of one of those nonsense facts, but pretty cool. So now, and then this week we worked and shit, and now my car's at the shop. But so the funnest thing is there's a YouTube channel that I occasionally watch called The Daily Woo, WOO. And he's one of the first and longest YouTubers, and he puts out a video every day. He lives here in Celebration. He just bought a house up there. And as far as I can tell, his only job is these videos. He travels, he flies to LA, then he's doing international travel. And so he makes a lot of money from this somehow, and I think it's maybe timing as much as anything. But he doesn't really do anything. He's like, Like, one of the videos was him and there's a group of them that they all have their own channels. The Daily Woo may be one of the more popular, but there's like this Justin Scard and some other guys. And Justin Scard's pretty, he like did a Route 66 and he does like research. So like when he stops at somewhere, he can actually tell you shit. Kind of like the Wonder Hussy. But anyway, one of these, there was a mall where they filmed a scene from Back to the Future with the Lamborghini. And these guys all met up there because they were tearing the mall down in Los Angeles. And they all showed up there at like 10 o'clock at night in the park. Just a parking lot. And they're like 50. In their 40s, and Adam the Woo is 50. It's Adam the Woo. I mean, to each his own. Don't get me wrong. But really, like, it's not even necessarily good movies. Because the first bag, I gotta be honest, I've never seen any of the other ones other than the first one. But even that, like, 30 years later, you're still, I do not think there's a comparison to, like, still listening to the Beatles or Let It Bleed or Exile on Main Street, which are however old, or listening to Dead shows. I do not think that's an equal comparison to a moderately good movie, I just don't, and it's a movie. It's just not comparable to music, especially music that's trying to, in my opinion, but shit like that. So anyway, he had one this week, like the day that Jimmy Kimmel was coming back, and I actually didn't even watch. I watched like the first minute. But he just walks by and he's like, oh, Jimmy Kimmel, people already lining up to go there after his 1 week hiatus, or I think he called it But anyway, my problem, I just hate Jimmy Kimmel so much. I think he's a piece of shit. For that vaccine that didn't work, he went on national TV, not like a YouTube channel with 37 subscribers that gets 20 views. And said, if you don't get vaccinated, the hospital should refuse you service. Even though it's all fully proven and documentable, it didn't work. It may have lessened the thing. That's not a vaccine, and whatever. We all know that. Let's not even fight about that. If you're going to say that it did, you're wrong. So I really don't like Jimmy Kimmel, and this is before his ignorant things about Charlie Kirk killing and Trump and all that. I don't care. But Adam the Woo is just like, they're lining up after his 1 week hiatus. But what kind of ticked me off is it's like, so here's this dude fucking kind of living the life. But is he? Because he never takes a stand on anything. Like for instance, he goes to Disney World a lot. Never will you hear him complain about the prices, the ridiculous prices, or the fact that they're getting rid of some of the most traditional Walt Disney related rides. He just offers no opinions on anything. Anything. And you'll see him he goes to like these fan fests with like some obscure actor from some not even good, like a B movie. And he'll be like speechless or like pestering the guy about, do you remember that scene? And the guy's like, ah! And I'm just like, this is all your life's about? You know what I'm saying? Like his life, there's nothing. Do you believe in anything? Do you have like a strong opinion that you're like, I don't think that's right? Or here's why I'm okay with it? Nothing. So I made a comment in that video, and I'm like, this should be compulsory viewing for all male high school seniors. Don't let this happen to you. Living a pointless life or something. I have never received more hate in my life. You open up, if you have a YouTube account, there'll be a little bell on your thing. And every time, when you open it up, they'll be red with a number. Everything is just these people going, you're a fucking loser. I've watched some of your music. You should be a shit, cut me down. And I find it funny. I know exactly what I am musically. And, so I really don't care. But I was impressed and amused by the amount of vitriol and defending of Adam of the Woo in just the sheer number. You know? I do a lot of comments, and I go on a lot of ones that are political mostly, you know? Like there's this one Tal Oren. That's 2 words, it's a name. And he's a Mizrazi Jew, which turns out is like 70% of the population in Jerusalem, but all the Jews we know about are not Mizrazi Jews. So, you know, and he was on Roseanne's. That's actually probably where I heard about him first. He was on Roseanne Barr's podcast. She's a Jew. And but anyway, I've been watching his, and I comment on there, and, you know, so, and that's just kind of real life stuff. And I get likes, and very rarely do I've actually, after the Charlie Kirk, did seem to all of a sudden gain some more measured responses. Like I seem to have gained wisdom. Like I've been impressed by my own answers and like critiques of other people's shit. Like even if I critique it, whereas before I'd be like, time for another booster shot, loser. And I still use that one a lot with the Disney related stuff because that's who they are. But I just am impressed. But at the same time, you know, I saw these this morning, and then I went back to work, and then I had more. And at first I was just going to be like, give them the thumbs up and laugh. I don't care, and it's funny. But then I started thinking, I'm like, wait a second. This guy's making money. It's a public forum. I have an opinion about it. So fuck you. So one of the latest ones, I didn't respond to all of them, but some guy was like, oh, and coming from somebody who's complaining about a video he watched, if Adam was a dog, you're a flea. And I'm like, whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, I am responding. So I say, kiss my ass, dude. This is a public, like just what I said, it's a public thing, and there's going to be good and bad feedback. And all I'm talking about is fucking, you know, that this guy doesn't stand for nothing, you know, and just have any, I don't know if I did add that part, but I did the kiss my ass, and I was like, fuck you, dude, you know? But one guy did, he fucking busted my balls about he must have gone and checked my channel with the music, and I gave him a thumbs up, and then I thought about it more, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, there's a little difference. I'm taking a chance. I'm going up there, and I know I'm not that great. But I'm still willing to do it in front of people because I care so much about the music I love and trying to share it with people, and I enjoy it. And I'm taking a chance. It ain't pretty all the time. And I'm open to that and being criticized. And you look at my videos. I put everyone up there no matter how it went. And I know how it went. You know? I'm not putting all those up there or any of them thinking it's great, you know? I think I do some songs really well or well, and whatever you think of my voice or whatever, and my guitar playing is pretty limited, and some of them are like, you watched the Throwing Stones I did last weekend. That was almost one that I'm like, I can't even put this video up, but I'm like, I actually highlighted it in the description. I called it, I butchered Throwing Stones. But I'm like, I'm taking a chance. And not to mention, I usually do say some stuff. And, you know, like, this is for Charlie Kirk. And I also may say some more direct, pointed, nasty things. So I open myself up to criticism and things like that. And that's something that Adam the Woo is not doing. You watch one of his videos. And it doesn't seem like but there's just nothing there, man. You know, worrying about offending people or appealing to everybody or being maybe captured by having the successful YouTube channel. But it just kind of got to me. You know, the Charlie Kirk shit has changed a lot of shit. And people who are going to defend Jimmy Kimmel or just not even mention that or just skate around that topic, I'm going to fucking probably go at you. You know, so before I'll still watch some Adam the Woog. He lives up there. He goes to Disney, and sometimes you just want to see it. It's weirdness or the stuff happening around him you want to see. Like he went to his one today I watched some of. They had an after hours at Epcot. You had to pay for an extra ticket. He's already a pass holder. But if you wanted to do the after hours from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. in Epcot, And I've done one of the after hours, and I did an all night. They did 24 hours at Magic Kingdom once. Went all day, went right through the night, and I did that. That was on summer solstice like several years ago. But they actually close most of like the food and stuff. They might have like one place open, so it's not like most of the rides are open, I believe. But they don't. Not everything's open. And in Epcot, that's a little more of a deal. So I don't even know what Epcot one was like actually. So I shouldn't say that, but. I doubt that all the countries were open, food-wise. And it looked ridiculous when I was watching. He's like at all these places in Epcot, and he's the only person there. And it was just like, what's the point? Half the fun of going to fucking Disney World is making fun of the fat people in spandex and just wondering how they can handle the heat. And I've said it before, I know I'm overweight, but I'm really in shape when I go to Disney World. And that's not an exaggeration. So I was just fascinated by the amount of people defending him and coming at me pretty hard about my Adam the Woo comments. I got a kick out of it. It was pretty funny. So go on there and make one. But I mean, the channel is what it is, man. You know. I would recommend checking it out, see if you like it. It's a little weird, but like he goes to like Aulani, the Hawaiian, the place on Hawaii, the Disney place, and it's just weird. He's with his mother, and he's just one of those timid guys. He like doesn't seem to want to offend anybody, and it's just weird. Tell me, check it out, and let me know if you think it's weird. And I'll tell you, I've been watching him a long time. I don't watch all his videos, but it's been years of me watching, something will just catch my eye or I'll just have the time. And it wasn't until now that I kind of got what kind of bothered me as much as what I may enjoy about it. And the Kimmel thing him just kind of brushing that off, it seemed, or something. I don't know. It just motivated me to kind of go at him a little bit. Just the fact, like I said, like, do you stand for anything, dude? Who are you? We don't know that, even after all this time. To me, it seems. I don't know. So that was funny. It is funny. In fact, after this, I bet you if I go on, I'm going to check, and there'll be comments, and it'll be about that. Just about everything else I comment on, I just get likes, which are other people agreeing with you. Or I'll even get, feedback, a thumbs up or a heart from the person whose channel it is. I've even had, since Charlie Kirk, I've had many highlighted replies. Because something clicked there where I just kind of have been more measured in my responses and critiques. I've been impressed with myself. I will admit that. That I found a new way of just kind of saying something or disagreeing or agreeing, but being like, you spelled that wrong, or, but it's fun. It's fun, man. It's what the one thing I like about, like, there's only a couple channels I watch, like people who record shit, and I'll watch them whether it's that day it came out or even a couple days later, like Wonder Hussy, Mike Z a little bit. Some of the shit, I'm kind of getting tired of him, but that's about it. And the Daily Woo, which is more of an intermittent thing. Like Wonder Hussy, I actually haven't watched her last 3. She puts one out on Wednesdays and Fridays. But I probably will watch those. But other than that, it's mostly just podcasting, but live shit. Like Timcast. That can be pretty annoying, but I like that it's live and about what's going on today and what's coming up tomorrow, sort of thing, I like the live. It's more just being engaged with the world, And that you have to make your own decisions. Like Tucker Carlson, I don't watch all his shit, but a lot of the people he talks to are interesting and players in what's going on in the world. But you have to decide whether they're full of shit or not. Tucker ain't going to help you there. And people are scared of that. It's like you mentioned Tucker Carlson, and like a snotty, self-righteous brother might roll his eyes or something, and it's like, dude, he has nothing to do with anything. I mean, he may not always ask the questions you want, but he's really not part of why you're watching it, you know? So to be dismissive of it like that just really reflects on your arrogance more than my ignorance. Yeah, I'm struggling with my relationship with my self-righteous brother. But I will say this, and I mean this in a non-inflammatory way, but I believe I'm right in general about all the things and my approach to engagement with the world. I really do. I really do. It's not always pretty. It's not always done the right way, which is the same as saying it's not always pretty, but I think how I'm playing the game of a citizen of the world, and I don't have kids, so it can be a little different for me, but I think I am doing it all right, and I think I'm being a better citizen of the world by living in the real world. Dig? So that's it. Flying to Tennessee on Monday to bring a truck back to Florida, and then Christmas party in San Diego. Hopefully I can last. Because I'll say one thing. My boss is a big white guy, lives up in Jacksonville. The two bosses. Everybody else is fucking, English is not spoken. And allegedly everybody is a legal immigrant. The car that was there this morning for the first time, I have a hard time believing that. But not my fight. But that's South Florida for you. That's all that is. And not casting aspersions there at all. But it is different. And that's part of like living in the real world, that when you live in a certain maybe economic stratosphere or enclosed little world that you just don't know anything about the reality of reality. I think that's a good way to end that, huh? Over and out, folks.